It's time for the movie rating. Tonight's victim is David Kaye, which is a producer as well as an actor. What's going on?
How's it going?
I don't know. What's going on with you?
Not too much. Just working on production of Eye of the Beholder right now, which is a short film I'm working on with director Adam Bogosh, which I believe you interviewed recently.
Yeah. So what's going on with the film, man? What's with Eye of the Beholder? What can we really expect from this film? What's going on?
Well, Eye of the Beholder, essentially, it's based on actual events of the writer, who's Vanessa Parent. She for a while in her early 20s was taking care of her grandfather who had Alzheimer's, and this short is essentially one of their outings where they went out for ice cream, and it's basically all through the eyes of Jack, who was her grandfather, who had Alzheimer's. So really, what we're trying to do with this is to raise a little bit of awareness for Alzheimer's, because the people in younger generations right now aren't really equipped to deal with Alzheimer's. They don't know anything about Alzheimer's. There's really no there's no awareness. People can't identify the beginning symptoms, and the people who are dealing with it right now are soon to be in the target demographic to get Alzheimer's.
So this is a pretty big dramatic film, huh?
I wouldn't necessarily call it traumatic. It's on the lighter side. It is it's a sweet, tender film. It's one of the good days for somebody who has Alzheimer's. It does have kind of that. We really want to make an impact with the audience, even though it is a short. We really want to get through to people and really make them go, oh wow, I didn't know that it was like that. Maybe I should learn a little bit more about it.
It reminds me of that one film that starred Robin Williams. I forgot what it was called. We was teaching how patients have this rare disease where they completely freeze up and they don't know about it.
Oh.
Like if they're eating something and then they just literally freeze without moving, and then within probably an hour later they unfreeze, and then they don't realize that they were doing it. I forgot what the disease was, but it's also something like that.
That was with Robin Williams.
I believe so, yeah.
Cool. I'll have to look for it and check it out.
Yeah, he plays as this doctor trying to try to cheer them up, trying to find out what's going on, if I got this correct. But yeah, it's interesting if you want to get biopic type film. Yeah, that's pretty interesting.
Right.
But you also said that you were into voice acting. What's going on with this?
Well, right now I'm kind of in between shows with voice acting, but I've been doing a lot of dubbing into English from Japanese, some anime, and actually some Chinese shows as well. Dubbing from Mandarin into English as well. So that's kind of been occupying a lot of my time for the past couple of years. And I was doing that on the side while I was getting my bachelor's degree in fine arts in acting.
So how is the anime going on? It's been so long. I mean, especially Japanese anime. Is it pretty booming right now, or is it steadily just going down?
It's kind of pretty steady here. We've got a pretty huge fan base up here, and I mean the Comic-Con that comes through every year is just wild. Like, yeah, I went. My sister's quite the manga fan, which is actually really funny because she hates watching English dubbed versions. She prefers to watch it in the Japanese. She actually taught herself Japanese so she could watch it. She's kind of that much of a hardcore manga fan. But so I told her, hey, guess what? I'm dubbing anime, and she's like, oh, nice, I guess.
It's almost like with video games, right? If you watch the Japanese version, hey, I'm playing Resident Evil. Yeah, I got that. Oh, all right. Sure. That's not how it really happened.
Yeah.
And you watch the American version.
So that's kind of what's been going on with me here right now. I grew up as a child actor in film and television, and then again started doing voiceovers. But more recently, I decided I actually wanted to learn how to act, so I went to school for it, like I said. And so I have been doing some theater shows, and right after I finish post-production on this, I'll be going into rehearsal for The Bomedy of Errors, which is a hip-hop rendition of Shakespeare's Comedy of Errors. So that'll be interesting, to say the least. But
well, a majority of actors are more going toward theater for numerous reasons. One's because of the passion, but also, do you think it's more of a lack of money as well in the film?
I wouldn't necessarily say that. I think there's just a lot more theater available right now because, there's everything from, kind of kitschy community theater to the production, the theater companies, kind of the top of the range theater companies that are working all over the world, and so to actually just keep the tool sharp, to keep working and enjoy it, because like you said, there is that passion to work, and a lot of film and television actors are going, like you said, and just doing runs of theater shows, and I think that's great.
Yeah, I don't know if it's actually a little bit cheaper for you, but I mean, unless you're producing the actual show, then of course it would be very expensive. But when it comes to television, it can be very expensive, even if you're acting. As far as trying to funds in general, like you're trying to act, and some will probably get all these fees, and so just to try to do one line.
Right. Oh, sorry. I thought you said that they were turning to theater because of a lack of money.
Oh no, I'm saying it's like, do you think it's because lack of money on their part, going to theater? It's like, hey, we'll get some extra cash.
Not at all.
But of course, it is one of the main reasons is of course the passion.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, but
yeah, but no, you're definitely right. If you're working in film, you're getting paid.
Yeah, you hate to use the word job, but that's what it is, man.
Yeah.
Stuntmen do it. They do it because I don't know if it's because of the passion they want to get blown up and thrown, tossed off of skyscrapers, but it's a job. But not a lot of people would actually consider that unless you really want to do that.
It's also kind of addictive. I mean, as far as stunts go, I started doing some kind of minor stunts recently, and learning the stage combat and weaponry and falls and all that stuff, and it's really addictive once you get into it.
No.
You're just it's that adrenaline rush, right? That you're kind of just feeding the adrenaline.
Yeah,
rush.
it's almost like climbing a mountain for no reason, except when you're being a stuntman, it actually has some real purpose.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, if you're climbing a mountain, it's because it's there.
Yeah, I can climb a mountain, but I'd rather get blown up in a car and then come out alive,
Totally, and then you can say to all your friends, "Oh yeah, no, okay, so wait, the car's about to blow up. Yeah, I'm inside that right now, right there."
Yeah, see, there's my hair right there. Yeah, okay, it's gone now.
It's the same as climbing a mountain. It's bragging rights.
It is, but you really got to honor those stuntmen because they break their balls doing that shit.
They break their balls and they make the film.
They do. They make the film. Maybe. It's just how it is, like that. Even every actor in the film as well, even if they're not that great of an actor or not a great choice for that actor, you still got honor from doing it.
Definitely.
So I mean, especially even television. Television now is becoming the big fab now. It's like with 3D. It was big for a while, then suddenly it's just yesterday's news.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's like, oh wow, this is cool, and you see almost every film coming out in 3D.
Yeah, and that's one thing I don't really like about all these films coming out in 3D, because the ones that are filmed in 3D, there's a big difference when you watch them in 3D than all the ones that aren't filmed in 3D and they're made into 3D in post. Like I saw a movie recently and I went in 3D, and I mean my eyes just hurt because there's so much going on, especially when there's like fast action sequences. You're trying to focus on one thing, but the camera isn't focused on the thing you're trying to focus on, so your mind's just trying to
Yeah, I mean, it's not something you just want to watch if you've never seen it before. If you really want to know what the story's all about, especially in 3D.
Yeah, especially in 3D.
It jumps everywhere. You don't know what's going on. It's
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like one of those high-priced horror films that just jumps everywhere, and cheap thrills here and there. It's like you don't get it. You just can't get it. Just jumping everywhere. Slow down for a second.
Yeah.
It's like with television. It's pretty much all shows. You don't see a lot of more in-depth shows. You see some drama shows. You see some hospital shows. You see a majority are just cop shows. It's like that's the biggest hit at this point. It's just nothing but cop shows.
Well, I mean, I love Dexter personally. I'm a huge fan of Dexter, and it's kind of a cop show. It's Miami Metro Police Department is kind of central in it. But I mean, it's a great show because there are A, B, C, D, E, F, G plot lines, and they have all these things that they layered in from the first season that they're answering in the second, third, fourth season. It's really great writing. It's really great acting, and that's just a really good show. And cop shows just have.
You think it's just a little bit of a cheap thing to do, even though it may cost money? You think it's just a cheap way to go, even though, they start liking this, or it's just because of the network?
Sorry, what was that?
You think it's just because of the network with all these cop shows, or you think it's this is the real deal that people are actually like, not just because of the network?
I mean, they're kind of intertwined, right? Like if the network will like it if the people like it.
Yeah, or if just network and then this other network likes it, and they okay it, and then the people don't like it.
Yeah, I guess. I guess.
Oh.
But there's the cop shows, there's hospital shows. I mean, there's Grey's Anatomy, there's House, there's all those shows, and again, House is another show that I really like.
Yeah, that's if that doesn't win any future awards, I don't know how.
Yeah,
how the show wouldn't go anywhere,
I mean, it's formulaic, but every episodic show is, right? So it is formulaic, and that does get repetitive because I've watched every single episode, and it's repetitive in there's only so many diagnoses you can have for this show, and it's amazing. They've got like a medical team helping the writing staff, creating all these kind of Sherlock Holmes-esque medical conditions, medical mysteries rather, and but it's again good because it's not just about solving the case. There are all those different layers in the plot, and again, it's really, really good writing, really, really good acting, and it has the same thing that they have stories that are being carried through all the seasons. So yeah, as far as cop shows and hospital shows, I think Dexter and House are two of my favorites.
Yeah, it's just there's and of course you got those wannabe reality shows that are just popping up everywhere, which I don't. Apparently they're getting ratings because they keep popping up more and more every day.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about these shows? Are pretty much taken over in some way?
Well, reality shows have taken up a lot of primetime TV slots.
Yeah.
Which is, for a working actor, not necessarily good because you don't have as many shows. As many like opportunities to work.
Yeah.
There are all these shows reality, quote unquote reality shows taking up TV slots. So
yeah.
Some of them are quite entertaining. And you have reality shows in every walk of life. Like you've got reality shows from business, like Dragon's Den, and you've got like wedding shows, like My Big Fat Gypsy Wedding. That was an eye opener for me. I heard about this recently. It's a short series about gypsy weddings in the UK, and that was an anthropological study for me. But see, that was a show I liked because yes, okay, it's that kind of kitschy reality TV thing, but also it brought me something that it enlightened me. It brought me something that I had absolutely no idea about. But you've also got the Survivors and the Big Brothers and what have you. But yeah, there's all sorts of, even, you know, the food shows. Jamie Oliver going around changing the cafeterias. That's cool. Educating people about food and
just food.
You know, poor nutrition and you know, the conditions in school cafeterias, which is just you know, there's stuff like that, and there's all sorts of reality TV shows, the good, the bad, the ugly, but
yeah, but even those type shows, cooking shows, are just copying off each other. Everybody's copying off everybody now. It's like this show is a lot like this show, and this show is a lot like that show.
Definitely.
Cooking shows are copying each other off. I mean, one of those shows where they save animals. You see a lot of those are doing that. And
well, then you also get like the reality cop shows, right?
Yeah.
Like you get the First 48, which is a pretty cool show.
Mm-hmm.
You got Dog the Bounty Hunter, which is kind of like, you know, the reality TV / bounty hunter / whatever. But you've got those hybrids of what works for network television and what works for reality television. They're like, okay, well, let's put those two together.
Now, do you think this is more of a helpful way as far as acting by looking at these shows, or do you think it's more of a distraction in your own career?
Watching reality TV?
Yeah, in general, just shows like that. Do you think it actually helps you in some way, or would you just say, oh, you know, whatever?
Well, as far as acting goes, I mean, every experience you have influences what you're able to bring to the table, as long as you can draw on it, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, and everyone has different ways of doing that. Like I know some people who have virtual instant muscle memory, which is great for them because they can watch somebody do something and then immediately after they can do it. So for them, I don't know, watching reality TV may be a great asset. But I mean, in general, just life experience. Life experience is majorly beneficial.
No. You ever thought about doing your own series?
My own series?
Yeah.
Well, I have been working on some screenplays. Right now, I'm working on some feature screenplays and a couple animated shorts as well. But I haven't really ventured into an episodic or a series as of yet. I have some ideas for some, but definitely need to hone my writing before I can branch out into that.
So you don't feel like that you've reached to that level yet?
Yet is the key word there.
Yeah, or at least a TV movie. You see quite a bit of those, but even those are quite expensive as well.
Yeah, you can definitely do those on a lower budget, though.
Oh, yeah, certainly. It depends, like, where you take the show to. Or you can just have the show still be a big hit, even if it's not like a big network.
Right.
But does that go very well in Canada, or is it pretty rough when trying?
Movie of the weeks type deal.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, they've got them on all the national networks. I did quite a few of them as a kid, which was interesting because they were on the national network. So I wasn't just filming in Vancouver. I was flying across the country and filming elsewhere. So that was cool.
No. And of course, you got the. Speaking of which, your projects are coming out, the films. Well, what are your thoughts that it could likely be stolen? All the material.
The material for the short film I'm producing right now.
Yeah, piracy.
I mean, there's always a risk for your material being stolen, your ideas being stolen, but I have taken the preventative measures against that. For one, there's mailing the script to yourself and keeping it in a sealed envelope with post dated and all that stuff. So if someone does come out with something, then you can contest it in court and say, well, look, here is the exact same thing way before you did it. So.
Mm-hmm.
I guess for me right now, it wouldn't really be much of an issue unless somebody produced the exact same thing, like, in a month. because we're going right at, we're shooting, you know, in less than 30 days we're shooting, and then we will have everything ready probably before the middle of autumn.
Yeah, especially digitally. Are you guys going digital? Speaking of which,
we are. We're actually shooting on a DSLR. We're shooting on the Canon 7D, which is it's actually surprisingly wonderful as far as film goes. All the music videos we've shot on either the 5 or 7D, and the commercials as well that I was telling you about before the show. And yeah, we've had some great results, some stunning images, and yeah, just some great shots, and all from, you know, a DSLR.
Yeah, and since technology is pretty damn advanced now.
Yeah, it is.
And now you can just
movie right now.
Yeah, you can just slap it on. That's one of the biggest problems with piracy. It's like, and once it's slapped on the net, it could be taken anywhere.
Exactly.
And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. Even if you do have the rights and all the proper paperwork, it's going to be gone. It's just the same thing with music videos, same thing with songs, everything, pictures, so forth.
Yeah, well, you know, I've definitely heard some songs recently that I've heard, like, that sound pretty pirated. You know, just you know, chord progressions, lyrics, and stuff that people have written, and you know, you hear it elsewhere, and it's on the radio. So
yeah, I mean,
somebody's been doing something that they shouldn't be.
Yeah, it's like when they compare it. You can compare it to the same thing when people write walkthroughs for video games, like strategy guides and stuff. You see the exact same one off another site, exactly written exactly the same.
Same punctuation,
same thing,
mistakes, everything.
Everything. So it could be just slightly the same way when it comes to film. Just maybe it's in a different can.
Yeah.
You know. But speaking of, well, back to the voice acting, is this still a very fresh thing for you?
Voice?
Yeah, voice acting.
I started doing voice acting when I was 11, so I've been doing it for almost 13 years now.
Oh, so you've been going pretty much straight forward, huh?
Yeah. Sorry, almost 12 years now. Yeah, but I've been doing it pretty solidly. You know, like working a couple times a year for the past 11 years in voice, which is you know, I consider a blessing, because I broke into an industry that's really tough to break into, kind of on a fluke, and then people just liked having a kid around who could actually do it, because, you know, a lot of younger male characters are played by older females. So it was refreshing for a lot of people to be able to call in a kid. And there were a couple of us in Vancouver especially, or in Vancouver specifically, who, you know, they did call in repeatedly because we were guys. We were playing our own age, and we could act and do the job.
Yeah, aside from actually acting on a stage or you know, on a set or even on location, it's just sitting there in a studio, and you can't really exactly see the character that you're playing.
Yeah, well, it depends on what you do, right? Like if you're doing prelay,
yeah,
then your voice is creating the character.
Yeah.
And they will work it around you, and then the only time you really see the character is if you're doing any ADR afterwards, you know, because some of the animation didn't match your voice, so you have to then rewrite the lines and match the voice to the picture. But I mean, as far as dubbing goes, which I've been doing a lot of as of late, you always see your character because you're trying to match your English words to the Japanese mouth flaps, which can prove quite difficult sometimes. But there you always see your character, so that's a little different.
Well, which occupation do you feel most comfortable with? Because you're pretty much all over the place at the moment.
I am all over the place at the moment. I'm really comfortable doing voiceovers, and theater is kind of a new passion of mine because I've been studying it for the last couple of years, and I've been doing some new shows, and I've had a really good time with that. But I'll always be right at home on camera. I grew up doing it. I've been doing it for my entire living memory, and there's just something about being in front of that camera that's just natural to me.
No. There are actors that go to this occupation like they want to be a writer, and then they pretty much don't do acting for, like, let's say, for example, 10 years, and then they go back to it. But it's like, and then you got the ones that just all over the place that doesn't have a specific, year when they do it.
Definitely.
So, I mean, is there like any type of restriction that you feel on one of these occupations than the other that prevent you from doing what you like doing?
Time is time. Well, and money, but time is the only major restriction. There's only so many hours in the day, and you have to work your schedule around it. So if you want to produce, that's going to take up the majority of your day. If you want to act, that's going to take up the majority of your day if you book a role, right?
Yeah.
But if you want to write, the great thing about writing is that you can schedule your writing sessions around anything else. So you can write and do voiceovers simultaneously because, you'll have a 3-hour chunk of voice recording, and then you got the rest of the day to write your script. So those are two things that go really hand in hand, in my experience. And, but yeah, time is only, for me, the major restriction. And I guess whatever you're exposed to, because, if you're exposed to the opportunity to do one thing, you're going to be more inclined to do that. But I really enjoy, changing it up all the time and being able to act and being able to write and being able to now produce, which is new to me, and I'm learning a lot. Kind of flying by the seat of my pants, but I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, everyone's got to fuck up somehow.
Oh yeah.
You gotta have at least your first fuck up, no matter what. That's just an invitation. Hey, here I am. Yeah,
here I am. And that's the thing. After you have your first one, it won't be the last. And as soon as you can come to terms with that, you're gonna be just fine, because you will learn from your mistakes, and all the people you're working with will learn from your mistakes. And that's why I think this show is really great. That you're doing, so that people can listen to all the artists and all the professionals and learn from their mistakes, and hopefully not make the same ones.
Oh yeah, when you're breaking a film, everyone thinks, at least the youngsters out there, always have that rock star scenario.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna write this and act and get a role with Tom Cruise.
Right.
Oh, it doesn't happen just like that, man.
Well, that's actually another thing. I'm kind of happy you brought that up. I've got two younger sisters, and one of them's 13. And you ask any of her friends, or her for that matter, what they want to be when they grow up, and every single one of them will say famous. It makes me laugh. It's like, well, what for? They're like, I don't know. I just want to be famous.
Wow. You're gonna really have to get on them on that one.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to beat your ass. That's not how you do it. I'll tell you, it's even bands themselves really want to be, playing Ozfest and shit like that. So, don't be a cover band.
Yeah. Yeah.
You get that a lot. Even there are actors out there that think they're the greatest of all time, and technically they're not. As I said, every actor has their faults. Every writer has their faults. Even producer, and so forth.
Well, because we're all human.
No, everybody fucks
Nobody
up.
can be perfect.
Admit it.
People who are almost there, but nobody can be perfect.
No. Well, speaking of which, your experience as a producer, it seems like no one really wants to do that.
Producing?
Yeah.
It's stressful.
It's more toward more the occupation that they go for is either directing or writing. You really don't see a lot of people going pretty much producing.
Well, directing and writing, they both are stressful jobs in their own right. But I'm finding that I've never been more stressed out in my entire life as trying to get this production together. Just because there are so many things that you have to deal with that I knew of beforehand, but kind of, your deadline's approaching and you're still trying to get funding, and you have, this department head needing this and this department head needing that, and the director wants rewrites, and the writer doesn't have, the writer has their own interpretation, it's you have to be kind of overseeing everything, and you just have to keep this "I've got everything under control" air going on. Otherwise, if the captain's shitting his pants, the crew's not going to work right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you yourself are just in one spot while everyone else is pretty much running around. It's like, well, I got to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I mean, in a way, you kind of restrict yourself because you really can't do much at this point or in this production.
Mm-hmm.
So, are you getting pretty much a decent financial for this upcoming project? I mean, is this going to be up on DVD or is it just going to be on a site or?
Well, I mean, in a perfect world, we're going to have a solid run on the International Film Festival circuit, and after we're done, we're going to give some rights to the Alzheimer's Society of British Columbia, which is my provincial Alzheimer's Society. We're going to give the rights to them to use as a PSA or a vehicle for raising awareness or raising funds, and they're going to use it how they see fit. We're in talks with the Alzheimer's Society. I had a meeting with them today, and they really like the script, and we're kind of talking to see how we can work together, which is really good because it lends us a bit of credibility that we're not just kind of in this for ourselves. And like I said at the beginning, we really want people to come away from this just affected by it and wanting to learn more and wanting to be able to do something about it.
Yeah, are you leaning to more of these type films, or do you have others?
Not particularly. I mean, I got a bunch of scripts on the back burner, and I got one right now that I'm working on. It's a romantic comedy, and that's kind of in the developmental stage right now, so I don't really want to talk about it yet because I don't have all the bugs figured out, but I've got, romantic comedy. I've got like an animated action war script going on as well, so I've got my fingers in all sorts of different pies, but I really wanted to start with this one.
Okay.
Because I wanted to come out of the gate strong, and I wanted to affect people with the film.
Yeah.
I didn't just want to entertain. I wanted to entertain, and I wanted to help out.
Yeah, you see films being made like that too, like with franchises, like even with remakes. Hey, yeah, we made this. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there are those that just do it for money, and there are those that are just pure recognition. Hey, I did this.
Definitely.
It's like with no real purpose or meaning toward the film itself. Well, they just slap a bunch of shit to a film.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's those ones that go, quote, direct to DVD. That's not entirely a good thing.
Right. Well, I mean, I was in a couple of those. But, they're fun to do, and the people there are people who really, really love those, and
yeah.
they just won't do well. It's not, it's just not a good idea financially to put them into theaters. But you go straight to DVD. You're going to be doing well because you're going to find your target market eventually with it.
No. All right, we're running out of time. So, last question. What do you think is going to prevail in the future? Do you think television is going to be the big thing in the future, or do you think film will actually have something completely different and pretty much blow everybody away?
That's a really good question. Right now, I mean, if you look at Blockbuster right now, if I told you 10 years ago that Blockbuster was going to go out of business, you would have laughed in my face.
Mm-hmm.
But Blockbuster's in trouble right now because we have the internet, and we have every show, every movie, and, we've got web series sprouting up all over the place.
Yeah.
Internet is really a game changer as far as film and television goes. And, I mean, film, theater has stuck around for thousands of years, albeit, it's kind of making a comeback right now, but it was overshadowed by film and television for a really long time for for the masses, anyways. And so I think, this is the evolution of entertainment. And film and television, I think there will always be films, and there will always be series. But whether or not network television is gonna last, as far as internet goes and internet channels and web series go, in the long run, that'll be interesting to see.
It's almost in a slow process of reversing itself, because now you also got vending machines to get these films on disc.
Yeah.
Rather than just going to a theater and pay, what, $15, $25?
I know. I mean, once you got your popcorn and your drink, you're paying like $30. If you take a date, you're in for a night. You might as well go to a bar.
You better expect something more than that, but yeah. But yeah, it's like, I could do this at home.
Totally, exactly, and that's the thing. Like, you can go online and you can get pirated versions of movies that are in the theaters right now. So why would you go out and spend the money? Is what people are thinking. I personally think that I would go out and spend the money because, A, it's an overall better experience. You're in a theater, you've got a wall screen, you've got crazy surround sound that you're not going to have at home. Well, I mean, depending on who you are. Most people won't have at home. And again, as somebody in the industry, I just feel bad about piracy, and it is illegal.
Yeah, and you're not supporting the artist if you're doing that shit.
Exactly.
You're taking money away from them. Rather, it just the same thing with bands, man. If you're just taking their songs and posting it anywhere without authorization of any kind, or even written information from the artists themselves, you're taking money away from them. They're losing sales rather than gaining. Same thing with film, man. You're taking the film away, even if it is just, I guess, what would you say, a prototype of it, or a negative of the film. That's not the actual final. You're taking money away from them.
Right. I believe Andre 3000 put it best when he said, "If we come to your job and take your corn on the cob and take a couple kernels off, if that would be all right with you."
Yeah. Piracy. It's still a major issue. It's not like I don't know. It's not like something you make a protest march out of it, but it's still a big problem in society, and it's always going to be a problem in society as long as we got the internet.
Right.
But yeah, everything's so digital these days. You can just get it off the net, and you could almost just Xerox it to you, as far as the film goes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's almost a win-loss at the same time, because they're gaining money, but they can actually lose money by doing this.
Right.
It's like, okay, we can put it up there and see how many sales we get. You may not get shit.
That's a risky run in every financial situation, though.
It is. If it's your money, yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
For
if
sure.
It's your money. Then, hey, go for it.
But it's another company. Well, it's all right. It's okay. If they lose money, I'll probably be fired or sued. One of the two. But that's just how it is in this era. It's just so advanced, and you don't know what's going to happen for the future film. But genres are certainly going down. Horror genre is no longer really getting that kick anymore like it used to.
Yeah, but if you look at other genres, there has been a resurgence. Like vampires and werewolves were so out for decades, and I mean now they're coming back. You've got Blood, you've got Twilight, you've got Bitten is coming out, which was a werewolf book series that's being made into I'm not sure if it's movies or TV shows, but you've got all these movies like Dracula.
Yep.
Never, no one ever expected vampires to come back, and they have in a big way. So
yeah, I mean, even The Lost Boys, they brought that back.
Right.
And I mean, the second one of The Thirst was a great film. It was pretty cool because
the Korean one.
The Korean one?
Are you talking about Thirst, the Korean vampire movie?
No, not the Korean one. The American one with Corey Feldman.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, Corey Feldman?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't see that one. I saw the Korean Thirst, which was actually a really, really interesting movie, because you know, I kind of been watching all these vampire movies, and it was a completely different take on vampires, just totally out of left field. But, you know, I mean, I don't watch all that much Korean film, but their use of silence, lack of score, their use of, like, set deck, art, their art direction, the color palettes were absolutely stunning. And it was just a totally different take on vampirism, because the main character is a Catholic priest who is a vampire, so he doesn't want to hurt anybody. So how does he get his blood?
Yeah, it's interesting. But I'd say it's like the genres they're still going, but they're just not.
Genres are still going, and even though, you know, they may take a dive for a couple of years, a couple of decades, they'll be back.
Oh yeah, well, maybe not anytime soon. At least not right now, because there's nothing really popping out like what they used to.
Right.
It's like, oh wow, and then you don't hear the talk of the town. It's like, oh wow, you hear this film was really great. It's like, this is the #1 film of the year, won this award, and so forth. Like, you know, films like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of drama films are just all over the place. For the past, at least a good 10 years now.
Yeah.
They're being more popular than the horror if you compare. You know.
Definitely.
They're just.
Horror has a target audience. Drama is kind of more accessible to everyone.
Yeah, and science fiction has slowly creeped up and actually starting to take notice again.
Yeah, I mean, as far as feature films go, there weren't that many for a while, but, you know, all the TV shows kind of ramped it up, and now they're back.
Yeah, there's a lot of independent ones. I'm not entirely sure if it's between horror and independent. I know there's a lot of horror ones, but I think there's pretty much a good majority of science fiction, though. Yeah. As far as the independent.
Definitely. Indie films, definitely. I was talking about mainstream.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, as far as keeping certain genres alive, like there's a film festival up here. It's like a 48-hour horror film festival. So you have to write the script, shoot the movie, and edit it in 48 hours. And you know, it's all horror stuff, and you know, all those little things to try to keep it alive they're super cool to watch the final product, but also really fun to be a part of, and you meet a lot of great people. And yeah, if you're trying to get into the industry, I highly recommend doing some of these 24-hour, 48-hour, 72-hour film festivals, because you will make all the mistakes and that you will make at the beginning, and you will learn from them, and it won't be of a huge loss to you. So,
well, the fans will make or break your ass.
Oh yeah, well, that too.
They don't like it, you know, chances are you ain't going to get anywhere. Unless they point out what you fucked up on, then there you go.
Well, then you know what your mistakes were, and you won't make them again.
Well, it's like what you said with the 24, 48-hour little contest things. It's always fun to see, and it's fun to do, of course. And even if their feature film is not that great, it's still fun to watch. And I mean, you can still tell them that, you know, yeah, well, you did this wrong and so forth. But it's still fun to watch, even if they made a ton of mistakes.
And there's also the camaraderie, right? Because everyone who's watching it, they all made their own, and they all made their own mistakes. And everyone, you know, it's just nice to support everyone who went through the same thing. No,
it's just. They should do that all the time, man.
Yeah.
It'd be great. Like, you see, you know, my town, it'd be great, but if I had a town. But go ahead and give any last words to those, since you're breaking and producing and a few other occupations. What advice would you give the most, just on one of your occupations, to them?
Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Make bold choices, because if you make the safe choice, you're not going to stand out.
Well, go ahead and plug any web addresses for your new projects, or mentioning of when your next film comes out.
The next film will be Eye of the Beholder. That's coming out, and we should be done post-production by October, November 2011. So we'll keep you updated.
Well, there you go. David Kaye.